Men who pass 60 and can still press 100 kilos or more on the bench look like a rare species. Not because they're superhuman, but because they do something almost no one is willing to do. They train like strategists, not like rushed teenagers. When I went deep into studying why some men reach that mark in their 60s, 70s, and even beyond, I reviewed training logs, progression patterns, recovery habits, and above all, how they take care of their joints. And I found an uncomfortable truth. The ones in that small group are not destroying their chest every week. They don't live by, "Today is max day." They're not chasing pain like it's a badge of honor. They understand something that sounds simple but changes everything. After 60, muscle recovers faster than tendons, and strength is built when the body stops fighting inflammation. Many people think plateaus come from a lack of power. In reality, it's almost always excess irritation, overloaded shoulders, hot elbows, inflamed joint capsules. And when that happens, the body doesn't cooperate. It defends itself. What I saw repeated among the strongest men was a system. One heavy bench session every 10 days, not every week. The rest of the time is used to fill the gaps with intelligent work. That sounds counterintuitive, I know. How am I supposed to lift more if I go heavy less often? That's exactly the trick. It's not doing less out of laziness. It's doing less of what destroys and more of what builds. Before we get practical, understand this. If you've been training for years, you don't need to be convinced that you can push heavy weight. You already know that. What you need is to keep pushing heavy without paying for it with your shoulders. You need strength that lasts, not strength that burns out in 6 weeks. The first key: recovery is part of the lift. Most people step under the bar thinking everything depends on willpower. And yes, mindset matters. But the body does not negotiate with willpower when connective tissue adapts more slowly. Muscle gets inflamed and recovers fast. Tendons don't. Tendons are conservative. If you force them too often, they don't snap all at once. They fade. It starts as a mild discomfort. Then it becomes normal. And one day, you wake up and struggle just to push a door. Many older men confuse feeling something with progress. That dull ache in the shoulder, the sensation in the elbow, the pinch at the end of the range, and they take it as a sign that it's working. It's not. Sometimes it's just a bill that hasn't arrived in full yet. That's why the 10-day rhythm works as a mental reset. You don't do it because you're fragile. You do it because you're precise. One well-executed heavy session tells the body, maintain this strength, maintain this muscle, maintain this capacity. And the extra days allow the triceps, rotator cuff, pec tendon, and shoulder joint to return fully ready, not just tolerating. If you have a history of impingement, rotator cuff issues, or sensitive elbows, don't play the hero. Change the game. Dumbbell bench with a neutral grip, slightly reduced range of motion, or lower load while keeping the 10-day cycle. The rule is not lift for ego. The rule is respect the tissue. Now comes the part most people don't understand. If you go heavy every 10 days, what do you do in between? How does strength increase if you're not constantly testing strength? That's where the second key appears: separating stress. Most people cram everything into one workout: heavy sets, then high reps, then burning the muscle, then leaving destroyed. And then they're surprised when progress stalls. The nervous system and the joints don't play well together when you hit them with everything at once. You can get away with that at 25. At 60, it charges interest. The structure I saw work best is a simple cycle inside those 10 days. Day 1. Heavy bench press. This is not a 20-set war. It's a clear message. 3 sets of 3 reps with a heavy but clean load. Heavy means challenging, not suicidal. The bar must move with control. No twisting and grinding like the bench is a torture rack. You leave before technique collapses. You leave hungry, not traumatized. The goal of that day is to practice strength, not to manufacture fatigue. Because fatigue in a 60-year-old man isn't just tiredness, it's accumulated inflammation. And accumulated inflammation is the silent thief of progress. Day 5. Volume with intention. No maxing here. This is where you build muscle and joint tolerance. Incline bench, ideally with dumbbells or a machine if your shoulders prefer it. 4 sets of 8 controlled reps. No bouncing. Strong press up, slow descent. If you want to feel your chest work without your shoulders screaming, this is the day. Separating these stimuli is like separating expenses from investments. Heavy work is a withdrawal. It demands recovery resources. Volume is a deposit. It adds tissue, stability, and capacity. Mix withdrawals and deposits on the same day, and you stay at 0. Program them intelligently, and progress compounds like interest. There's also a hidden advantage to the incline. The angle changes stress distribution. Many shoulders suffer on flat bench when the elbows flare too much and the shoulder drifts forward. Incline bench, done properly, allows better scapular control and different load sharing. It's not magic, it's mechanics. It also forces you to generate real force instead of relying on bounce. If you feel stiffness or have a history of pec or shoulder injuries, adjust the heavy day. Slightly narrower grip or lower the percentage. Instead of playing with 90%, use 85% with perfect technique. And on volume day, use dumbbells or a machine that lets you find the groove without fighting the bar. The third key, the bench press, is decided by your triceps. Most people look in the mirror and think, I need more chest. But the bench doesn't die on the chest. It dies at the top. It dies at lockout. In that final third, where the chest has done its job and the triceps must finish it. You've seen that rep that comes up strong, stalls a few centimeters from lockout, and just sits there like the bar suddenly doubled in weight. That's not bad luck. That's weak extension. And if your extension is weak, your bench stalls no matter how big your chest is. That's why the cycle includes a day to sharpen, not to destroy. Day 8. Specific triceps work with close grip bench or a wrist-friendly variation. Moderate load, deliberate reps, solid technique. Hands slightly closer than shoulder width, elbows controlled, without turning it into some awkward movement. This is not a day to chase burn. It's a day to teach your nervous system to recruit the triceps cleanly. When done right, this work doesn't drain you. It wakes you up. It leaves you feeling solid instead of empty. And when day 10 or the next heavy bench day comes, the lockout feels different. The bar feels more obedient. Your confidence under the iron changes. If your elbows are sensitive, adjust. Slightly wider grip or pause before full lockout to avoid tendon irritation. If you have access to a Swiss bar or neutral grips, even better. The goal is activation, not inflammation. The fourth key, slow, almost invisible progression. This is where impatience kills bench press progress after 60. Many men want to jump 2, 5, 10 kilos because they feel that if it's not fast, it doesn't count. And that's where benching dies. Not because of age, but because of impatience. The men who maintain real strength make small, spaced-out increases. Sometimes 1 kilo, sometimes 1.25, sometimes a microplate. And they do it every 3 or 4 weeks, not every workout. It looks insignificant, but it compounds. Think about this. Add 25 kilo consistently, without breaking technique, without irritating the shoulder. And in a year and a half, you've added a massive amount. Without drama, without injuries, without lost weeks. Strength behaves more like compound interest than motivation. Motivation is a spike. Compound interest is a system. One clean rep teaches coordination. One clean rep teaches confidence. One clean rep teaches repeatability. And the body, especially as you age, responds better to repeatable success than to heroic wins followed by pain. If you don't have microplates, use simple tools, longer pauses, slower eccentrics, better control. Progress isn't always measured in kilos. Sometimes it's measured by your shoulder not complaining and your technique staying clean. And when the body feels safe, it allows more load. The fifth key, daily shoulder hygiene. This is your insurance policy for pressing long-term. Daily, cheap, consistent shoulder mobility. Most people think about mobility only when pain shows up, and that's the mistake. Shoulders rarely fail with a loud boom. They fail after months of small warnings. Like a roof with leaks. At first it seems harmless, until one day it collapses. What I saw most often in men who stay strong was a simple 5-minute daily routine. Resistance bands, rear delt work, external rotations, slow controlled movements, no exhaustion. The goal isn't to train the shoulder. It's to maintain lubrication, blood flow, and keep stabilizers awake. Blood is currency. Where there's no flow, tissue stiffens. And where tissue stiffens, strength becomes fragile. You can have a strong bench for months with stiff shoulders, until suddenly you don't. Understand this separation. The bar builds power. Mobility preserves access. Lose access, and power is useless. The best lifters don't wait for pain. They treat it like home maintenance, quiet, consistent, no drama. If you've had shoulder surgery or major limitations, keep ranges short and bands light. This isn't competition. It's care. And 5 minutes a day adds up to years of uninterrupted training. The sixth key, full body tension and leg drive. Many men bench press like they're lying in a hammock. Loose feet, inactive glutes, relaxed core, all the stress up top. Then they wonder why their shoulders hurt, and why the numbers don't move. Bench press isn't just chest and arms. It's a horizontal push where the entire body creates a base. When you plant your feet, squeeze your glutes, brace your core, and generate tension, the bar becomes more stable. Stability is power, and stable power is easier on the joints. Both research and real-world practice agree. Even moderate leg drive can add several kilos to your max without demanding more from the pressing muscles. It's not cheating, it's biomechanics. It's using the floor as part of the system. That said, if you have knee, ankle, or lower back issues, don't try to push like a jump. Start with gentle tension, as if you're screwing your feet into the floor just to gain stability. The goal isn't a jolt. The goal is for your body to act as one unit, not a stack of blocks. This doesn't just improve your numbers. It protects your shoulders, improves lockout, and gives you strength that carries into daily life. Pushing heavy doors, moving boxes, standing up from a chair with presence. Some men at 65 stand up from the couch like they're young, not by magic, but by coordination and tension. A bonus perspective age doesn't decide your strength as directly as you've been told. What truly determines your strength after 60 is joint stability, shoulder control, and neuromuscular efficiency. Men who press heavy at 65 aren't defying biology. They're training stability as a skill. They control scapular position. They respect bar path. They don't let the shoulder drift forward. They don't lose elbow control. They refine the movement until it's repeatable. And when movement is repeatable, the body feels safe. When it feels safe, it gives you strength. When it doesn't, it takes it away. This is where the difference appears between two types of people: those who train to impress once and those who train to last. If you want to be in that small group, your mindset has to shift from winning today to winning for years. Because in the end, what's impressive isn't posting one lift. It's still lifting when others can't even hang a grocery bag without pain. Simple application. Every 10 days, one heavy, clean bench session. Your lighthouse, showing where your strength is heading. In between, one incline volume day to build useful muscle without irritation. One intelligent triceps day, so lockout stops being your weak point. Daily shoulder hygiene. 5 minutes, like brushing your teeth. And in every rep, full body tension, feet, glutes, core, so the bar stays stable and your shoulder doesn't become the sacrifice. With that, progression comes naturally. Not as luck, but as consequence. If benching twice a week still works for you and you're pain-free, don't break what's working. But if your numbers are stuck, your shoulder nags, and you feel stiffer every week, you don't need more effort. You need a better system. Don't confuse heavy with dangerous. The strongest men, the ones who last, are obsessive about technique. Not because they're afraid, but because they learned that technique is what lets you repeat a lift hundreds of times without paying the price. Technique isn't aesthetics, it's protection. Set up your bench so the shoulder stays where it belongs. Chest firm, upper back active, shoulder blades down and back, without turning it into theater. Lock your torso into the bench. Control the descent. Don't let the bar drop. And press without losing your line. And if it hurts, don't ignore it. That's not weakness. It's intelligence. Pain is information, not a challenge. Let me say this as if we were in a dark room. Just you, the bar, and time. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. What you want is power. Real power. Power that stays with you as your body ages. Power to remain independent. Power to move with authority. That's the goal of benching after 60. Not ego, freedom. Most men quit early because they don't understand the cost of rushing. They feel discomfort, get frustrated, step away from training, and the body grows fragile. But you can choose a different path. The path of men who still push heavy when others only tell stories. If you want a simple plan to start tomorrow, on your next heavy bench day, do 3 sets of 3 with a load you can move with solid form. Leave 1 rep in reserve on each set. Walk away knowing you could have done more, but chose not to. 5 days later, do incline bench 4 sets of 8. Controlled, pain-free, feeling the chest without sacrificing the shoulder. 3 days after that, do close grip bench or a safe variation. Moderate load, clean reps, focusing on finishing strong with the triceps. Repeat the cycle. Don't add weight recklessly. Add little. Add rarely. Add when the body says yes. Daily, 5 minutes of band shoulder work. And if you have time, upper back work, rows, face pulls, posture training. Because a strong upper back is the anchor of a strong bench. And one last thing, consult a health professional if you have serious injuries or persistent pain. Not because you're old, but because your body deserves respect. If you made it this far, you already know what most never learn. It's not the bar that makes you strong. It's the system that lets you return to the bar without breaking. True strength, the kind that truly impresses, isn't the kind that appears one day. It's the kind that's still there 10 years from now. And let me be clear, you're not too old. The real problem is that too many men quit too early. You don't have to be one of them. If this approach helped you, leave a comment saying where you're watching from and how old you are. I want to know who's playing the long game. And if you want the next video to cover knee protection, building upper back strength for posture, or regaining strength after injury, let me know. Training after 60 isn't regression. It's taking control. And when you take control, age stops being an excuse and becomes an advantage. Because you no longer train on impulse. You train with purpose.